number 2 role still up for grabs? Are you guys still competing for that number 2 role?
Number 2 role?
Like number 2 string quarterback.
The back.
Oh,
Yeah.
honestly, bro, I really don't look into that. I don't care. Whenever it's time for me to get out there and play, I'm going to play. Adversity, things is going to knock you down sometimes, but the main thing about it is you just got to push through it. There's a lot of people in this world that's going through stuff, but, you know, I'm playing for a lot more than just me.
Yes.
And will he kind of be the backup?
Joe will start the game. Dylan will play second. Shedeur will play third.
Shedeur Sanders is done with the chatter. After head coach Kevin Stefanski slotted him as the third-string quarterback behind Dylan Gabriel, he didn't blink. No panic, no backpedaling, just steady confidence. He made it clear he won't get caught up in labels or outside noise. Say what you want, but when the stage is brightest, he intends to be brighter. Sanders isn't wasting energy on distractions. He's locked in, focused, and ready to let his play speak for itself the moment he steps on the field.
Whenever it's time for me to get out there and play, I'm going to play. Whenever it's time for the lights to come on, I'm going to do my thing. I'm not concerned about when it is. I'm not concerned about, you know, how many reps I'm getting at this point is what it is. Because I know when the lights come on, when everything going, when the pressure's on, you know who I am.
Shedeur Sanders isn't losing sleep over Kevin Stefanski's depth chart or the situation around it. He's certain that when his number is called, the film will force a second look at every assumption. Practice rotations and outside noise aren't his focus. He trusts his preparation and what he brings to the position. The equation is simple. When the pressure is real and the lights are hot, he'll answer it and quiet the doubts. He's not chasing validation anywhere else. The field is where he'll do his talking. This isn't just a solo climb for him either. He views his supporters as part of the mission, not spectators on the sideline. He's navigated stretches like this before and found a way through, and that same mindset drives him now. Every window that opens, he plans to seize. The message doesn't change. The work never stopped, the standard hasn't moved, and he's ready to prove it again the moment opportunity meets preparation.
The main thing about it is you just got to push through it. There's a lot of people in this world that's going through stuff, but, you know, I'm playing for a lot more than just me, you know, so regardless of pain, that's always how I've been, even in college, you know, so in high school and everything from when I was young, regardless of like physically, you know, if I don't feel my best, I still gotta go out there and execute with no excuses.
Since landing in Cleveland, Shedeur Sanders says his perspective has shifted. Simply lacing up for practice each day feels like a gift he used to imagine, not live. He's embracing patience, fully prepared to wait his turn, and when that window opens, he intends to sprint through it. Until then, the plan is simple. Stack work, refine the details, and be over-prepared when the call comes. To critics, he doesn't frame this chapter as a setback at all. It's the runway. This is time to tighten footwork, sharpen reads, and stay mentally locked in for what's next. He's clear that when the moment arrives, he'll put the whole toolkit on display and let the tape answer the questions. The focus hasn't wavered, the workload hasn't eased, and the standard hasn't moved. When opportunity meets preparation, he intends to show exactly who he is and what he can do.
I would say I learn life in a different perspective, you know, and that's why I come here. I'm happy. I always got good energy because, you know, I'm blessed to come out here.
And he's backing it up. In his latest practice, Shedeur Sanders showed exactly what cooking looks like. He came out a touch sluggish while shaking off the last of the injury effects, then locked into rhythm. By the end, one throw stole the entire session, an eye-catching rip that reminded everyone he's trending back to full form. That single play said more than a soundbite ever could. It wasn't just 6 points. It was a snapshot of poise, placement, and field vision. The way he worked through the look, trusted his mechanics, and delivered on time matched the confidence he's been voicing. It was the kind of ball that makes coaches pause, teammates lean in, and critics pump the brakes. Sanders addressed Dylan Gabriel's recent comments with calm and maturity. Even after Gabriel clarified they weren't aimed directly at him, Shedeur said he didn't spend a second dwelling on it. He believes God gives him the steadiness to stay grounded and avoid reacting to every headline. The noise is irrelevant. his focus stays the same. Whatever's said, so be it. Still, his posture told you he understood the subtext. He carried himself like someone who knew the message had him in mind, and he turned it into quiet fuel. The composure wasn't about pretending nothing happened. It was about showing he's bigger than the back and forth. He knows the real answer won't come from a podium. It'll come when he steps between the lines and lets the tape speak.
Honestly, I don't even think about nothing. I don't think about anything. If it's not words or anything, at this point, it can't do anything to me. I know, the God put the ability and the power within me to not even think about nobody else's comments, not care. It is what it is. I spoke with him. He said, nah, bro, that wasn't. He said, that wasn't. He told me on the plane. He came up. He was like, nah, bro, that wasn't at you. I see how they trying to spin. I'm like, oh, all right. I'm not tripping, regardless of whatever it was.
He's right to ignore most of it. Not every take deserves oxygen. There will always be bandwagon critics who pile on when things look rough and pivot the second momentum flips. The same voices throwing shots now will rush to celebrate him once he delivers. And you can bet Colin Cowherd will be near the front of that line. He's been all in on the skepticism around Shedeur Sanders lately, using every opening to question him. Cowherd praised Kevin Stefanski for elevating Dylan Gabriel to quarterback 2 and sliding Shedeur to 3rd, calling it the smart, low-risk move and proof of Stefanski's top-tier instincts. But it's hard to miss how quickly Cowherd writes Shedeur off, as if he's eager to see a miss before the kid gets a fair runway. Cowherd didn't stop there. He mocked Shedeur and his supporters, pointing out that several franchises were searching for starters and many more needed steady backups, and none chose him. He hammered the draft optics too. Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round versus Shedeur in the 5th, framing that as the league's verdict. In his telling, the message is already settled. Shedeur's backers may have shrugged at that before, but, as Cowherd puts it, the numbers make the case.
And many of us believe Jimmy Haslam, the owner of the Browns, is the one that nudged the front office into drafting him. So the Browns drafted Dylan Gabriel 2 rounds before. So you can run to your Reddit board and dogpound.com and say it's a conspiracy, but the whole league told you he's a 5th-round quarterback. And the Browns are telling you, Kevin Stefanski, who won 11 games in 2023 with nonsense in a division with the Ravens, in the AFC.
Shedeur Sanders' time in Cleveland is turning into a story of resilience, focus, and quiet resolve. Even as the 3rd-string quarterback behind Dylan Gabriel, he hasn't let rankings or outside opinions throw him off course. From day one, he's kept his eyes on the bigger picture, steady growth, daily preparation, and being ready the second his opportunity arrives. Every critique is fuel, not a verdict, and he's using it to sharpen his game. His recent work on the field backs that up. Coming off injury, he settled in quickly and found his rhythm, capping practice with a pinpoint touchdown that stood out as the day's highlight. The timing, placement, and poise on that throw reflected the same confidence he's been preaching, reading the look, trusting his mechanics, and executing cleanly. It's the kind of rep that gets a coach's attention, earns teammates' trust, and makes skeptics pause. Sanders' maturity shows in how he handles chatter from teammates, rivals, and the media. Whether responding to Dylan Gabriel's comments or brushing off negative noise, he stays grounded, crediting faith and focus for keeping him steady. He knows the talk is part of the job, and he's committed to letting the film speak louder than any quote. Meanwhile, critics like Colin Cowherd have leaned into the doubts, pointing to draft status, Gabriel in the 3rd round, Shedeur in the 5th, and the lack of immediate interest from teams as proof the league has already made up its mind. Sanders isn't letting that define him. He understands success isn't about early labels. It's about persistence, preparation, and performance when it counts. As he keeps stacking work and embracing each rep, it's clear he's preparing for the moment his potential becomes undeniable. The road may be tough, but his discipline and mindset suggest he's more than capable of rising above doubt and making his mark in the NFL. What's your read on Shedeur Sanders' approach so far? Do you think his patience and focus will pay off once he gets real snaps? And how much do takes like Colin Cowherd's actually impact a young quarterback? Do they hinder, or do they add fuel?
So he says, this is exactly what he says. I'm told the footage of Shedeur Sanders meeting with the Giants is so bad that both the Browns and the Sanders family have threatened legal action if it is.
What in the NFL is happening right now? The New York Giants just leaked a draft interview recording with Shedeur Sanders, and fans are completely freaking out. Did Shedeur take some shots? Did the Giants forget what the word confidential means? Or did someone accidentally hit reply all on something that was supposed to stay locked away? Get ready, because this roller coaster involves hot mics, bad takes, and a whole lot of drama.
What happened with Shedeur on draft night to make him fall to the 5th round, and them talking about the Giants coming out with all that information talking about Shedeur did bad, bombed the interview, all that type stuff. We all know my last video when I talked about the interview tape about Shedeur did not get a playbook.
The NY Giants, in true Stonewall fashion, dropped a carefully trimmed clip from their highly sought-after interview with Shedeur Sanders, then quickly locked everything else away like it was top-secret intel. Was this a calculated PR stunt, or just a low-key attempt at sabotage? Either way, the silence speaks louder than any official statement. Fans aren't buying this half-baked version of transparency, and they're definitely not ready to just bench him and move on. Instead, they're demanding answers, calling out the organization for what feels like a planned smear job. One thing's for sure, the hate is loud, but Shedeur's supporters are even louder.
There was another team that he sat down with.
What do you mean it didn't go well after that?
So, he was pissed that they
did that to him.
They did that to him.
He counter-confronted
the
them.
same thing they do to every other quarterback prospect. They did that to him. They slide in a mistake to see if you catch it.
Right. And so
because you're the quarterback.
But he didn't take it as a correction. He took it as like he got pissed off.
Yeah, and it's like so here's another one. So another one was, he throws a bad interception, and it was a deep throw early in the game, and he comes back and they go in the meeting, they show the interception.
Let's just call it like it is. The Giants have perfected the tease. They've basically turned "we've got more, but we're not sharing it" into a comedy act, and the joke's on them. It's like they're standing center stage, booing themselves. Oh, you want more? Too bad. We're guarding it like Grandma's secret lasagna recipe. Congrats, Giants. You've officially become the talk of TikTok, X, and even Aunt Barbara's Facebook. Yep, the holy trinity of online outrage. This whole thing screams drama, screams petty, and definitely screams PR disaster in a fitted cap. Just release the full tape before fans start pulling up to headquarters with pitchforks. And popcorn.
GM is getting fired. The GM, who was that nigga that Jaden Daniels. The GM is on film that the nigga's son, the nigga asked his son last draft, yo, who you think I should pick? His son like, yo, you need to get the Jaden Daniels nigga, B. This is what his son, it's on tape. You should go Jaden Daniels. He laughing at his son. And all right, cool, get Jaden Daniels. I don't even know how that tape got out. I wouldn't have let the shit get out personally.
Meanwhile, Shedeur, the latest poster boy for maybe the Giants don't like talent unless it's dressed in blue and red confetti, is soaking it all in like it's just another day at practice. And here's the best part of the irony. The Giants tried to label him as all hype, no substance, a paper tiger. But instead, they accidentally turned him into the hottest name being mentioned by every sports analyst out there. They tried to bury the story, but somehow ended up stamping it in bold. It's the classic case of ignoring a trending conversation for so long that sure, people get annoyed, but at the same time, they keep your name alive better than your own PR team ever could.
It's funny. New York Giants, where these tapes at? You hear me? Because if Shedeur Sanders was so unprofessional, y'all would have leaked the tapes for the whole world could see, right? Because understand, it's a lot of he say, she say. But one thing I do know, as a young black man growing up in this world, being straightforward and not sugarcoat anything.
Oh, this narrative is pure gold. Giants PR completely skipped subtlety and went straight to the "we don't like his dad" playbook. A move so awkward, it's like trying to dunk and ending up in a kiddie pool. You can almost picture them brainstorming it. Yeah, we're just not fans of QB families that aren't ours. Because nothing screams professionalism quite like having zero self-awareness. And the fan reactions? Absolutely priceless. That one little clip was all it took to set the internet on fire. Keyboards everywhere started lighting up. People are asking, why hide the good stuff? What are you trying to cover up? If there's really nothing to hide, why not just drop the full thing? And spoiler alert, they weren't whispering. Social media exploded faster than a New York City grill on Memorial Day weekend.
Them out. Another moment. What they do during the film and the combine and the meetings is teams will install mistakes intentionally planted in the install, and they want you to catch them. Shedeur didn't, and when a coach called him out, once again, it didn't sit well. It's like, bro, there's not many teams needing quarterbacks, especially since Pittsburgh appears to have a deal with Aaron Rodgers and Tennessee's getting Cam Ward. So you're down to the Giants, who are not in.
And that brings us to the next tasty slice of irony. By refusing to release the full interview, the New York Giants probably thought they were hurting Shedeur Sanders' image. But instead, they ended up throwing gasoline on the hype train. Rather than shutting things down, they made him look like the kid who grabbed the last cookie and somehow got blamed for taking the whole jar. Only difference? This kid's got cameras on him 24/7, and he's handling the heat like a seasoned pro. Now, every move he makes is being broken down, every throw studied like it's a presidential debate. Fans are calling it what it is. They've lied on Shedeur. Some say the Giants just don't like his dad, and honestly, that might be true. Maybe this whole thing was just a cheap shot at Deion Sanders by extension. But here's the plot twist. The harder they try to drag him down, the more interesting his story gets. The Giants accidentally turned Shedeur into a walking headline, a controversy in cleats. They tried planting doubt, but all they really did was create buzz. He's no longer just a top draft pick. He's now a symbol of resilience, a narrative goldmine, and living proof that real talent doesn't fold under pressure. It levels up. And at this point, even if the Giants wanted to, there's no turning off the spotlight.
Okay, so probably the most fun yet the most difficult thing I cover and we cover all year long is not games. It's the NFL draft. Because I've said this many times, you get lied to for a month to 2 months up to it. And so often during the draft, and every few drafts, there's a guy that really falls, precipitously falls. This year it was Shedeur Sanders, it's been Aaron Rodgers, it's been Dan Marino. Every few years somebody falls a lot. And so, but those stories don't come out until like the fall and after.
Let's not overlook the fact that the hate is so strong, you could bottle it up and sell it as radioactive cologne. You can practically watch it leaking out of Giants HQ like toxic sludge straight out of a bad superhero origin story. But here's the twist. Maybe that's their superpower. Maybe the New York Giants really believe they're cooking up some secret formula, a cocktail of manipulation and media spin. But here's the thing. Every bit of shade they throw at Shedeur Sanders only makes his story bigger. Every time they try to box him in as some overhyped diva or question his character, they accidentally hand him another viral moment. And now, he's the underdog hero rising through the smoke. Let's be real. This isn't just about football anymore. This is about narratives, control, and how the establishment absolutely loses it when they're no longer holding the pen. And the real kicker? They still won't release the full interview. You've got NFL fans, media heads, and entire Reddit threads all chanting, "Drop the tape." Like it's some long-lost Beatles album. Meanwhile, the Giants are just sitting there, staring into the void like nobody saw this mess coming.
Now, I don't know if it ever gonna get leaked or not. The tapes, the New York Giants have the tape. They definitely have the tape. It's confirmation that they have the tape. Shedeur didn't do nothing. It's what they saying he did. I'm gonna tell you what these mixed reaction right here. So we already know about the New York Giants, but the Pittsburgh Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin reported Miles Sanders' talent, but hesitated to draft him due to previous challenges with quarterbacks like Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, leading to more cautious approach. Las Vegas Raiders. Sanders met with Raiders at the NFL scouting combine and expressed enthusiasm about potentially joining the team. His familiarity with the West Coast offense and quick release was noted positive, though concerns about his ceiling.
But if you're the National Football League, okay, clearly it's not about talent anymore. It's about something else. And I'm going to tell you, I spent a large amount of the last 24 hours thinking about nothing more than I was thinking about collusion.
The $50 million robbery of Shedeur Sanders. Because that's what I just witnessed. Everywhere we've seen, everything we've seen, everybody that has seen him play said he is the one or two in this draft. I love Cleveland picking this kid.
The NFL draft is usually a time of celebration, a moment when dreams come true and talent gets recognized. But in the spring of 2025, that dream took a sharp turn for Shedeur Sanders. Instead of a milestone, it became a nightmare. One that might lead to one of the biggest lawsuits the NFL has faced in years. Shedeur, the Colorado Buffaloes quarterback and son of Hall of Famer Deion Sanders, was once expected to be a top 10 draft pick. But instead, he slid all the way down to the 5th round, pick number 144, by the Cleveland Browns. Now, quiet speculation has grown into loud conversations. Reports say the Sanders family is getting ready to take legal action against the NFL and several team owners, accusing them of collusion, defamation, and causing long-term financial harm. And the more you look into it, the more complicated it seems. From the outside, Shedeur's sudden drop in the draft doesn't add up.
What we're looking at is a convergence of a lot of history falling into one weekend. There's a history of the NFL and their ideas about protecting the shield and what they feel like. There's histories of the Sanders, history of the quarterback, which makes this really complicated and pretty much impossible to find one specific answer about why Sanders fell. He was probably already a fringe first-round pick, so some of the mock drafts were wrong. There's probably some owners out there who wanted to humble him and Sanders, and then there's just the talent that was there. So I'm not, it's okay, I think, to say we don't know what the specific answer is. What I do know, though, and I know it's maybe a little bit of a tangent, but I feel like it's important to say, I want to say this to folks on the internet and folks who are paying attention. This is not the Colin Kaepernick situation. This is important to know. Colin Kaepernick was absolutely blackballed from the league for standing up for folks' rights. This is not what Shedeur Sanders went to. He was embarrassed for 48 hours in the draft, and he ended up going to a Browns team where he still could possibly be a starter on that team because they managed to have half of Wu-Tang Clan's worth of bad quarterbacks, and he can still work his way up to a starter. So this is not the same situation. His career can still end up being okay.
Shedeur Sanders led the entire NCAA in completion percentage with an impressive 74.1%, broke several school records, and was right at the center of what many called the most talked about college football storyline in the last 20 years. With months of hype suggesting he wouldn't fall past the early second round, the expectation was clear. But instead, he had to sit through 3 painfully long days. Then came pick number 144, a moment that quickly went viral for all the wrong reasons. The cameras at his private draft party cut away. The champagne never even got opened. The room went completely silent. Deion Sanders didn't hold back afterward. According to those close to him, he was furious, allegedly saying, "This league just blackballed my son." At first, it sounded like a heartbroken father speaking out, but not long after, the leak started.
Because how in the hell does 32 teams in the National Football League pass on a quarterback that was universally recognized one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the country entering this draft, and 32 teams passed on him? Not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 different times they passed on him. How the hell does that happen? 4 rounds. It doesn't happen to a quarterback. We've never seen anything like this before. We've seen guys drop because of injuries. We've seen guys drop because of off-field issues, but we've never seen a quarterback projected to be a top 20 pick, universally recognized one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the draft, projected to be a first rounder, in all likelihood a safe bet of a late first rounder, and drop literally to the 5th round. We haven't seen anything like that.
So a lot of times when you go to these combine meetings, teams give you things to challenge you. Teams will have a player's worst plays ready for him, and they'll show him his worst plays and say, hey, why don't you explain them? And Shedeur apparently didn't take to it well. And at one point, one of the few teams that actually was interested in him said, well, what do you make of this really bad play? And Shedeur said, maybe I'm not the guy for you. That's not the answer. Another moment. What they do during the film and the combine and the meetings is teams will install mistakes intentionally planted in the install, and they want you to catch them. Shedeur didn't, and when a coach called him out, once again, it didn't sit well. It's like, bro, there's not many teams needing quarterbacks, especially since Pittsburgh appears to have a deal with Aaron Rodgers and Tennessee's getting Cam Ward. So you're down to the Giants, who were not interested at all, and Cleveland, who traded out of that 2 spot because clearly they were looking for next year's class like the Rams are.
Based on internal messages uncovered by a private investigator working with Shedeur Sanders' legal team, messages that haven't been made public yet but are currently being looked into by several independent news outlets, it looks like a few NFL team owners may have raised red flags about the media frenzy and the branding baggage tied to Shedeur. Even more concerning, there are reported claims that some team ownership groups were having behind-the-scenes talks, quietly advising each other to steer clear of drafting Shedeur unless they absolutely had no choice. People close to the Sanders camp say these private conversations even mentioned things Deion said back during Super Bowl week. Those blunt interviews where Coach Prime made it clear they would call the shots and wouldn't play for certain teams. Basically, they were following the same playbook Eli Manning used.
Will you step in Eli Manning like, Deion Sanders like, to the point where like you told him, hey man, I ain't taking that psych test with the Giants. I followed you after that. I said I wasn't taking it either. Will you step in and do some of that if it's the wrong organization and say he ain't going there?
Yeah, but I'm not going to do it publicly. I'll do it privately.
This time around though, the league supposedly answered with a wall of silence and behind-the-scenes sabotage. According to insiders, the upcoming lawsuit is expected to claim that the NFL worked together to hurt Shedeur's draft stock, not because of his skills, but because of how things looked in the media, internal politics, and bruised egos.
If they played the cards and picked him up in the 5th round, but I surely would like to know how they knew he would still be there in the 5th round. I've been on that stage for years and years and years. I've never seen them position the cameras in position, give forewarning about who's about to be drafted. I wonder if Cleveland got a call from somebody in the NFL saying, we got to draft this kid. You just robbed this young man of $50 million. And it wasn't on his playing ability. Wow. Shame on you.
Primetime Deion Sanders' natural bravado, coupled with that of his son. They say that the whole interview process wasn't that impressive. When he showed up at the NFL scouting combine and refused to work out, that hurt him. The interview process while he was there hurt him, etc., etc. You know what, y'all? I get it. It makes perfect damn sense if he's drafted in the 2nd round. It's the fact that he fell to 5th that's alarming.
After the draft, analysts on Fox Sports tried to make sense of the slide. Some said Shedeur wasn't a once-in-a-generation type of player. Others questioned his intangibles or pointed to the so-called baggage he brought with him. But instead of cooling things down, those comments only added fuel to the fire for Sanders' legal team. They're asking, how does a quarterback with a higher completion percentage than the #1 overall pick fall more than 130 spots? Why did draft experts rate him so highly, yet not one NFL GM publicly pushed back when he slid? From the Sanders camp's point of view, this wasn't just a case of a poor team fit. It looked more like a deliberate effort to send a clear message. Players don't get to control their future. That power belongs to the league. And nothing seemed to capture that message more clearly than Colin Cowherd's widely shared line. Nobody wants a celebrity backup quarterback. According to sources, that quote is already being looked at closely by attorneys and has shown up in early versions of the legal filing. To them, it's more than just a jab. It's part of the case.